Welcome to today's edition of the Anaglyph Jukebox. You never know what you'll find on the old jukebox. Let's press B31. Okay, we've got Daring Adventures 3D, cover dated November 1953, the last 3D comic book from the St. John Publishing Company. A jolt from the jukebox. Much of the material we present has been converted by modern masters of 3D. But all these images are reproduced from the original printing with 3D separations using the cell acetate method and opaquing the backs of the drawings. Art in 3D by Joe Kubert. Our first two images, as well as our last image, are presented first in full color, then as anaglyphs. Adjust your glasses accordingly and stay plugged in with the jukebox. It's a roller coaster of a tale about a pair of young entrepreneurial artists riding one of the first big fads of the post-World War II boom era, millions of comic books sold, small fortunes made off the nickels and dimes of children, secretly recorded meetings like Watergate, lawsuits, a market crash, a suicide, and bam! The whole thing was over in less than a year. And right in the center of this story is Archer St. John. The New York Times, Sunday, August 14th, 1955. Publisher found dead. Archer St. John succumbs in friend's penthouse. Archer St. John, 54 years old, publisher of Secret Life and other magazines, was found dead yesterday in the penthouse apartment of a friend, the police reported. The police listed the cause as an apparent overdose of sleeping pills, pending an autopsy. Joe Kubert, who along with Norman Maurer brought the 3D comic book concept to St. John, said that St. John was, quote, one of the most aristocratic upper-crust types that you'd ever come across. But he was as much unlike that underneath that veneer as anybody I can think of. When you sat down to talk with him, he was really a regular guy. Nadine King, office manager for the company, socialized with St. John often. She described him as, quote, exceptionally bright, and said that he did make a lot of money and he lost a lot of money. St. John was charming and pleasant to work for, but he struggled with alcoholism. Graphic designer Warren Kramer recounted that St. John would attend Alcoholics Anonymous meetings and was sober most of the time. St. John's son Michael said that in addition to alcohol, his father was addicted to amphetamines. Archer St. John was born in Chicago, and he and his older brother, Robert William St. John, both became journalists. Archer founded a paper, the Berwyn, Illinois Tribune, then left that to become the advertising manager for Lionel Trains. There he edited their hobbyist magazine, Model Builder, which combined editorial prose with comic-style instructional featurettes. The seeds of a publishing empire were being sown. St. John relocated to Connecticut and started his own imprint in Manhattan, St. John Publishing. The company's firsts in the field include the first 3D comic book, 3-Dimension Comics #1, September 1953, the first movie comedian tie-in series, Abbott and Costello Comics, and one of the first proto-graphic novels, the 25-cent picture novel, It Rhymes with Lust, 1950. Mom used to read from that when the Anaglyph jukebox was just a tyke. It Rhymes with Lust was drawn by that great good girl artist, Matt Baker. St. John had an enlightened attitude towards race. He employed and befriended Baker, one of the very few African-American comic book artists working in mainstream publishing. Quote, they had a very close relationship. I don't know exactly what it was, Baker's brother Fred Robinson said in a 2012 interview. Baker did many of St. John's covers across genres, but he was most known for his shapely women. Perhaps the best example is the title character in the service comedy Canteen Kate. St. John and Baker once traveled to Los Angeles together, and a photograph exists of the two of them at the old Grauman's Chinese Theater in front of Jean Harlow's footprints. St. John had wanted to turn his entire comic book line into 3D, but the fad was over before that could happen, and St. John lost a fortune. In 1952, Archer St. John's brother Robert saw Archer in person for the last time. Archer flew from New York to Geneva and, on Robert's description, quote, looked dreadful. He was terribly disheveled. His face was badly cut up. His hand was cut. There was blood all over his shirt. St. John had been drinking heavily on the plane. The day before his death, he also called his son Michael, who was at work at the St. John publishing office, to tell him that he was being blackmailed, but he would not reveal his whereabouts. On August 22nd, 1955, St. John spoke on the phone for the last time with Robert, who described him as, quote, very despondent. St. John died either that night or earlier the following morning. His addictions led to his early death, certainly. But Archer St. John was also a visionary, trailblazing publisher who entered the comic book field and changed it forever.